Hi, welcome back to Lee Smathers Photography YouTube channel. Today we're going to be looking at another tutorial on another one of Photoshop's mobile applications called Mix. In Photoshop Mix, we're going to be able to add layers and to use blending modes. We're also going to be learning how to do selections, which ultimately lead to masking whenever you open them up in the full version of Photoshop. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and open up Photoshop Mix. All right, let's go ahead and open up Photoshop Mix on our mobile device. All right, as soon as you open up Photoshop Mix, you'll be able to see the screen that shows my projects. To the left, we have our settings. Okay, and then to the right, at the top, we have the plus button, very simple for creating a new project. When you start a new project, you may use an image that's already on your device. You may capture an image with your camera, or you can create a custom canvas. Let's take a look at the custom canvas. Under the custom canvas, we add a title, and then we will determine the size of the image by pixels. For today's tutorial, I want to use the pieces that I've already used to create an image before in my portfolio. I do a lot of architectural photography, and today, for our lesson, I want the primary focus to be on sky replacement. So let's go ahead and begin this tutorial by opening up the main image. Here we are. So this architectural property is a building in South Korea that I took last year before I left the country. Now, originally I shot it in HDR, but I'm using the middle image here, and we're going to go through some of the features here, how I would edit this image. First, I like to adjust the exposure and the color balance before I go into any adjustments. But I can already see here that this sky is very plain. It was a very overcast day, and I just wanted to add something a little bit more appealing here. Up at the top, we'll look at some of the tools. At the very, very top left, we have the go back, we have the crop, we have the undo, the redo. We can hide the layers, we can export the picture, and then we can do full screen. Down at the bottom, we have adjust, looks, cutout, blend, upright, shake reduction, fill, and more tools. All right, so typically what I do with an image is I'm going to fix the exposure first. After I fix the exposure, I'm going to fix the color balance. So let's go down to the adjust. Here we can see auto fix, temperature, exposure, contrast, highlight, shadows, clarity, saturation. Auto fix could give you a good, yeah, I mean, that's pretty nice. Actually, I'm gonna go with that for my initial. Anytime I do any adjustments in Photoshop, I'm usually doing them at like 200%. So I want to zoom in here using my fingers. You can see the zoom at 74%, 200% right there, and you'll see the canvas size. So when I zoom in, I can start to see the colors a little bit better. Actually, that temperature does not look too bad. I want to look at the bricks there. Let's try to do a little bit more with the exposure. Maybe I want to open up the midtones for some of the shadow value in there. So I'll go over to the shadows. Moving it to the right will open it up a little bit. That looks pretty good. I don't think I want to do anything in the shadows. I think the color balance is acceptable. Maybe a little bit green. I could try to go a little bit blue there. I like that. I like that. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And do I want any contrast? I don't think I want any contrast. Usually I don't like to add contrast, but I might do a little bit of contrast here. Let's see, 3% there. Just because I want those blacks to kind of pop up a little bit. In all honesty, I would prefer to do my color balance and exposure in Lightroom and then probably bring it into Photoshop Mix. But this is just to show you some of the features that we have in Photoshop Mix. It's really great that we're able to do a little bit of everything in here. But Lightroom's going to give you more options and it's going to be a lot more fine-tuned. Not bad. I'm going to say I'm going to keep that. I might add a little bit of clarity. So do you see how clarity is kind of sharpening it a little bit, sharpening those edges? Let's go for about 20% there. Now, every image is going to be different, but I think in this image, probably about 20% is good. My adjustments are done. Okay, so I'll click that check mark over there to say okay. Looks are going to be these presets. So if you don't want to go in and do the manual settings with the color balance and you want to use like Photoshop Mix's presets, you can do that, like these Instagram type filters. Personally, I'm not really interested, but they're there for those that need it. Cutout. We're going to skip cutout for right now because I want to skip two things. We got cutout, we got blend, and we got upright. All right, so let's move on over to upright. Upright is going to correct the perspective. So Photoshop Mix gives us 5 choices for the upright. And you can just kind of tap them and find the one that works for you. In my opinion, I think that 3 looks the best. So I'm going to click OK on that check mark. So you'll notice that there's like the blue edges. It's kind of like highlighted that it's selected. This is good. When it's selected like this, we're able to move the layer around and we can resize it. Really like it a lot. If you tap on the outside, it's going to deselect it. By deselecting the layer, we can zoom in. So that's really important. If you want to mess with the layer, tap on the layer. My next step in this process would be to bring the image of the clouds. So we can tap this layer over here. When I tap that, I select the layer. On top of that, we'll see a plus sign. What is that plus sign? That plus sign means new layer. So I'm going to tap on that plus sign. Okay, it says add layer. So I can add an image, I can add a text layer, I can add a color layer. I am going to add an image here. Going back to my recents on my phone, you'll find the clouds. Okay, the clouds have been imported into my new layer. Okay, so let's select this and let's enlarge the clouds. Okay, so that covers the image there. I'll probably bring it up to right about there. And then I'm going to select on that bottom layer. Selecting on the bottom layer, now I'm going to move over to that cut out. Okay, so since that layer is selected, it's going to preview that layer, and it's previewing kind of what it wants to do as the auto. In my experience thus far, I have not found the auto to be very helpful for me. So when I press auto, it's going to try to select the buildings, but as I scroll in, you'll notice that there's a lot of holes, and it leaves a lot of refinement to be made. I've even tried going and like refining the edges and everything. And I just find it to be a lot more work to try to fix the auto than to just do it from scratch. So let's undo that. Let's go up to that top and undo. Undo. Okay, so let's start with the smart selection here, with the smart cutout. It's important that you select the area that you want to keep, and then it's going to cut out the rest. So I start with add, that add brush right there, using the smart cutout, and you'll see there that you'll see that it's trying to select all that area. Pro tip here, the more you zoom in, the better the selection will be. So as you zoom in, you can kind of start to get that over there on the building. It's got those edges really nicely. Okay, I'm going to select those. So make sure, again, when you're doing your selection that you're zoomed in. How much have I zoomed in here? Like almost 300%. Okay, let's move over here, get those edges, get the trees. It did a really good job of selecting those trees and bushes over there. We can get the middle areas later, but this is a little bit tricky over here on the edge of this building. Okay, I like it, I like it, I like it. And just keep doing this until you have the whole building selected. It's just really doing a fantastic job when I'm zoomed in close. Any problems I've had with the selection has been because I've been doing the selection at like 50% or 25%. And it's just so far away. It does a really awesome job around those trees. Okay, now that I've got, I've got those edges, I can zoom out and just kind of be a little bit more free with my selection there and fill in those areas. I'm just going to zoom in real quick. Check it out. Make sure I didn't mess it up. Looks good, looks good, looks good. I'm ready to say, okay. Now, you might be thinking, well, wait, that didn't do anything. That's because the order of the layers is in the wrong position. So I need to grab that bottom layer and bring it to the top. When I bring it to the top, the sky will be masked out. Check that out. So that's some really nice sky replacement right there. You might notice that the edges, right, they're a little white. They've got like these white borders around them. I would say don't worry about that too much in Photoshop Mix, because we can always open this up in the full version of Photoshop on the desktop and mess with the mask there. So really fantastic there, really fantastic. I'm very impressed with, I'm just using my 2 fingers. If you're using an iPad and you've got like the pencil, the iPencil, or another tablet and you've got a stylus or something, you know, you'll be able to do this a lot better, but I'm just using my fingers and I'm getting a pretty good job done with this. Really good options for our pros out there that want to mess around with doing composites. Okay, now how many layers can you do? I would say it's up to as much as your phone or your mobile device can handle. You can keep adding layers. You can keep duplicating layers. So the possibilities are endless. Here's a little trick that's something kind of off the beaten path. Let's say I want to darken that sky. Maybe I want richer blues. How could I do that? One way that I could do that is I could use the layer blending modes. Let's try that here in Photoshop Mix. So let's click on that sky layer. And when I click on it, I'll see the option to duplicate the layer. With the duplicate layer, now I can grab the top one, choose blending mode, and we'll be able to see previews. I like that multiply there. And then I'll click OK. Okay, so there's 2 ways that we can do this. We can do that through the layers, or we can go down to the blend mode. And at the blend, we'll be able to see that the multiply has been activated and it's at 100%. I can also do the opacity. I can bring it down to something that might be a little bit more realistic there. I think somewhere around 45–50% is good. There's the before, there's the after. All right, and then I'll put it on full screen mode. Now if I wanted to, I could export it to Photoshop CC. When I open it in Photoshop CC, I'll be able to go ahead and work on the masking and anything else if I needed to. Otherwise, I can save it to my camera roll, upload it to Lightroom, or save it as an image and upload it to, you know, Instagram or whatever program I wanted to show it off on. So overall, I'm really impressed with the opportunity to be able to make a composite in Photoshop Mix. I hope that this quick tutorial on Photoshop Mix has been beneficial for you. And stay tuned to the channel for more tutorials and camera reviews and other guidances in photography. To learn more about myself and my work, please go to www.leesmathersphotography.com. I am a commercial photographer specializing in wedding, portrait, and architectural photography in the greater New York City area. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.